Guys, welcome back to our restoration project. So as you can see, we're finally at the end of the road here on our 2.0 engine build, ready to take it off the stand here, hook it up to our transmission, and take it out to the car, get our car ready to receive it. And that's pretty much what our video is going to be about today. Also, a while ago, the guys from Europarts had reached out and expressed some interest in our project and was wondering if there was anything they could do, anything they could offer to help out with the project. And actually I said, yes, there is. Your timing is perfect. So we're going to go out and take a look at a problem with the engine bay. And this is something Europarts is going to be able to get us through. And hopefully we won't have this problem down the road. If we do, it's going to be a real issue. But anyhow, let's start off by going outside and see exactly what the problem is and what we're going to do to get through it. Then we're going to come back in here. I've got a hoist above the engine here. We're going to hook everything up with a strap, lower it to the ground, hook up our transmission, and get this thing ready to go. Okay, so as you can see, we're getting things ready here and prepared to bring the engine in. So this is a problem I found a couple months back, and you know, it's really disappointing when you find something like this, especially when you think you're buying the best quality parts and the best technology. Not always the case. So let's take a look at this engine seal here. If I can zoom in close in the corner here, you can see the cracking that's going on there on the inside. This is a engine seal by Porsche. I put this in here about 4 years ago, so it's been sitting in this booth for a total period of 4 years. It hasn't been run with engine heat. It's just natural atmospheric conditions, and it's already breaking down. And looking at the edge along the back side, you can see here all the checking and splitting that's going on. And we can separate and get a look up inside there. We can see everything is just deteriorating to the point where it's going to be unusable. And here you can see on this side, you know, just shot. It's completely shot. So if we were to install our engine, let's say we put this seal in here, brought our engine out, put it in, you know, within a short period of time, you're going to have to pull your engine back out again because your seal's not going to be any good. Just completely falling apart. It's just really, really disappointing. And then the other thing on this seal that I don't love is this notch in the top here. So sometimes Porsche doesn't make everything to restore these cars. You're going to have to kind of pick and choose your parts to see what kind of years they cover. So it looks like they're just using one seal now to cover a variety of years. And I think that notch is for a later model MFI type pump to allow some space for that. And then not that we're just bashing on Porsche, because they certainly make some excellent quality parts. But here's another instance. I got a brand new fuel pump here. I bought this probably around the same time, and it's been sitting out here. And you can see the rubber on this line is also breaking down. You know, so I'm going to have to re-sleeve this thing with some heat shrink to make that work. Okay, so let's head back into the shop and take a look and see what the guys from Europarts have sent us to get through this dilemma, and also take a look at some of the things they've sent us to help finish out and beautify our engine bay. Okay, and then having a look here and see what the guys from Europarts have sent us. So you can see I've got two of the bulkhead seals here. One has a notch and one doesn't have a notch. And at the time of ordering the seal from Porsche, I believe this is the only one they had was the notch in there. That may be different now. I haven't checked in a long time. But Europarts does make the correct seal for our car, which is going to look a whole lot better in there and hopefully last a lot longer. And then also the full wraparound seal. We have some hot air tubing with the foil liner in there. Real nice quality looking tubing. And then also some braided breather hose. And real nice looking quality. And this is the way it should look. And you shouldn't have to break the bank either in buying this stuff. So I really want to thank the guys from Europarts for reaching out and helping us out here in this way. And it gives me an opportunity to be able to speak up and kind of give us car guys a voice here. I don't speak up too often, as I don't really like to put too much negative voice out there. But in the manufacturing business, which I have been in manufacturing most of my life. The guys who are making these parts, they know what they're making. They know that they're not going to last. They know this rubber is not going to make it. I don't know why they bother to put it out there. It's obviously just a profit thing. We're car guys. We love our cars. We'll spend anything on our cars. We like to work on them. We like to shine them up. We want to make them better. That's just what we do. We support these manufacturers and what they do. And as far as I'm concerned, there's a whole lot of them out there. They just take advantage of that situation. And you don't know until you've bought the part. You try to mess with it and put it on your car. It doesn't fit, or it's rotting and breaking down. It just really is unfair, and just doesn't need to be that way. This is a brand right here that has always been spot on. I've never had any issues with any of the quality of the materials they've used, and also the fitment has always been very precise and right on target, which is exactly what we want. In today's world, everything is just dumbed down, make it cheaper, make it quicker, get a quicker buck out of it, a quicker 15 cents, and it's the wrong way, guys. If you're in manufacturing, I hope you're listening to this video, because what we want is we just want quality. You can make it. We've got 3D printing technology. You can make your parts exactly like we want them. We will support you. We will buy your product, and word of mouth works wonders. You will have no problem with profit and staying in business. In today's world, it's very competitive. You don't compete and survive by putting out the cheapest quality product for the cheapest amount, and everything's about cheap, 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 and smaller and cheaper and cut a corner. That's not how you do it, guys. It's if you're in manufacturing and you're manufacturing quality parts for quality cars, you want to gain the edge on your competition by doing a better job, a better quality part. That's what's going to keep you in business. That's what's going to keep the world going round. And really, I just don't want to go off on a rant here, but after 7 years of dealing with this, it really is a pleasure to be able to speak up for a quality aftermarket company like Europarts. Okay, so enough of the ranting. Let's go ahead and move on to the business at hand and take a look at our jack cradle here that I've made. Let's stick a clip in here of this cradle that I did a while back, and I'll show you exactly how it's supposed to work, and hopefully gets us out to the car safely and up into the engine bay. So I just wanted to take this opportunity while we're upside down here and just show you what I'm working on to lift our engine up into the car. We're getting close to that. I made a jig that's going to mount to our floor jack, and it looks something like this, top side and bottom side. And the whole idea of this is to cradle this area here without hurting anything and sitting dead flat on all our fins and engine case. So this is going to sit down over all our E's and outies and be solid to our engine. Then this area here is going to cradle the jack. I will bolt this through here and to the jack, so that this is now the lifting platform of the jack, not necessarily this. So this is going to cradle the engine, do everything we need. Hopefully, in theory, this is going to work. So I built it with a little bit of clearance. And the idea of that is to put some protection down, as we've got a jack across here that we're going to be working against. And then this guy will press down and sit down on our engine to support that, and then not having any kind of problem with any of our finish work here that we spent a lot of time detailing. So hopefully this will work. I don't know that it'll work, but anyways, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give it a try, and I've still got a little bit more work to do this to refine some of the physics involved to make sure we don't fall off the jack. But anyways, that's what we're doing. That's something you can make if you need some kind of a jig platform for your jack. Okay, so then panning back here to get a broader view of how we intend to lower this thing and get it stabilized so we can hook up our transmission. So I've got a 3/4 ton hoist bolted through the ceiling rafters and some very heavy duty straps that's going to take the weight as we lower it down. Then I have some various height locks and blanketing and a padding there so that we can get within range of the bottom of the engine. But basically what I'm trying to do here is get this jack underneath it as soon as we get the yoke removed from the engine stand, and then bring the jack up to it and cradle it. And what I want to do is I want the jack to take the majority of the weight while I ratchet this thing down so we can be slack on our straps and our stabilizers there. Mainly what I want to do is, while it's up high, I want to see how stable our jack is to hold this guy and stop it from rolling off the jack. Assuming all that goes well, let's just take a look and see how we've got it rigged up here. So I have two tie-down straps, one on each corner here. And the whole idea of those is just to stabilize, give us kind of like a 3-point stabilization as we lower it. If I'm pulling just from the center, the engine could roll to the left or to the right, and the straps should theoretically just keep that somewhat manageable for us as we lower it down. The whole idea of all the padding around here is if we have an accident, something breaks, chain breaks, we don't want to destroy all our finish work here. So everything's padded up. We won't have any abrasions or any rubbing going on. Let's go ahead and set this camera up and bring her down. Okay, now we're good. We're definitely seated. And we don't have any problems right here. Well, that pulled pretty darn smooth over those grooves, so I think we're going to be okay. I still got to get this from the garage, around through the gates, down the side of the house and into the booth. A few more grooves to navigate, but it actually feels pretty stable on our platform. This pulls really nice. I don't think we're going to have too many issues there. Let's go ahead and hook up our transmission. We're going to Loctite into the bottom. Okay, so we're almost in a position here. So what I've done is I've lowered the engine about as far as I want to take it. We're not actually touching anything back here, but it is starting to change the angle of our engine, and I think right now, as we line up here, we should be pretty good. All right, let's just back this guy out here for a second and have a look inside. So preparing the inside here, we basically want everything really clean. The throwout bearing needs to be clean and free of any kind of grease or oil. All our pivot points are lubricated. I've got the input shaft just lightly greased there. That should hopefully slide right into position. And then everything here seems to be sliding really good. Okay, so not everything going to plan here. So what's happened is the input shaft, because of the angle coming up in there, has slightly moved our clutch off center to our spline. So that's not good. But I don't think it's enough to where it'll stop us from going in as long as we're plumb and exactly parallel. So what I'm doing now is plumbing the engine, right, so that our bubble, we're straight up and down, and I'll bring the transmission in on exactly that same plane, and we should be able then to bolt it up. Let's try that. Okay, so here's our new approach angle. So we're exactly parallel now in there, and I feel pretty confident if I start threading those top bolts in, it's going to draw in. The problem is I don't have anything to pull the bottom in, so it could cockeye at an angle as I'm coming in. Hopefully it'll start taking up before it does that. Let's go ahead and give it a try and see what happens. Okay, so wrestling with this guy for about 2 hours, definitely not going to go unless I draw it in there even top and bottom. It's not happening, so I'm going to pull that back out of there, pull the studs out, and switch them out with some bolts. We'll get it drawn up, and then I'll thread the studs in afterwards. Okay, so we're having some success now. I didn't have long enough bolts to put on the bottom and the top, so I took what I had and just ran them diagonally, and that seemed to negate the tilting problems we were having. So now it's just sliding right into place. I could actually feel it pull right in without any resistance, so I know we're dead center now and not hanging up on anything. Let's go ahead and finish drawing them in. Okay, so what I did with the studs here is I've cleaned the threads and Loctited the nuts in place, and I'm going to just let this set up overnight so it firms up, and then we can thread them in, kind of like a bolt. And rather than put these on the bottom, and I've not been able to find any accurate photographs or any reading or anything, even in the manual, as to the placement of these studs, but in my mind, they should be diagonal rather than at the top or at the bottom. So they're the same length. I'm going to put one up here, I'm going to put one down there. But for now, we've got 3 bolts in place. We can set up our starter motor. I'll let these dry overnight, and then I'll switch out this one, and we'll tighten these 2 up, and we should be good. Okay, and then we're going to be installing our brand new old stock starter motor. This is by Bosch, and we got this at Einmalig a while back. Okay, so our starter motor is going to be 44 Newton meters. And then our transfer case is going to be 40 Newton meters. I'm not going to torque this one, but I will torque this bottom corner so that we're diagonal. And then tomorrow, after the Loctite dries, I'll switch those out and torque those down. Okay, so now that the battle of the transmission is over with, I think we're pretty much as far as we need to be as far as any kind of garage work here. Still have a few things to do. We need to hook up some linkage, and I need to fool around with those oil lines a little bit. Let me move some cars around, and we'll get this guy wheeled out to the car. Okay, so we're in here safe and sound now, and we've hopefully navigated the last of all the pitfalls here. It definitely doesn't like the big innies and outies on the concrete. Smaller ones, no problem, rolls right over, but the big ones have a tendency to jam the wheels. When we get another jack under the transmission, that'll help improve our angle here, and actually the transmission is going to come up proud of the front at some point, and it should start being easier to manage. Still got a few things to do to this. I got to play with some linkage. I got to tie off our oil lines here, and we have to put our new seal in our engine bay. So let me go ahead and get those things done, and when we come back on our next video, we'll get this guy installed.